The problem with advisors isn't that they're not good at what they're doing. They're exceptional at what they're doing. The majority of them are just unknown. That is an easy problem to fix.
Let's go to your favorite topic, unrusting of sales engines. I'll start with the analogy, and I love your analogy you've coined on the sales engines and the rusting. And I would describe this in analogy to help our listeners and viewers that if you own a car and you're not needing to drive it, because every time you need to go from A to B, they're lined up out the front and they're going to drive you there, and you just have to get in the car and you don't drive your car, it rusts over time. Financial advice businesses and advisors have had clients lined up out the front of their office for the last 5 years. They haven't needed to market, they haven't needed to sell, they haven't needed to do anything, and the clients are just rocking up. Therefore, their sales engine is rusted. Not a problem if you think that's going to happen forever. Our belief is the market will shift, and when you try and kick over your sales engine and it doesn't work because it's rusted, you're going to have a real pain ahead of you. Talk us through why this has happened with the exit of banks and training and all the stuff we grew up in, and the art of selling and engaging and prospecting is gone and it's rusted, and how the best businesses are unrusting them and will unrust them in 2026.
I'm not too sure whether I can fit everything that I would want to say on this topic into a nice short chart, but here goes, Brendan. So let's clear up and cover three things. The first one is that unquestionably, the value of advice is strong in this country. Advisors are clear on the value they provide and the outcomes to their clients and the servicing and the ongoing management of them over their lifetime. We see that time and time again. Clients are sticky with the advisor that they have. That is not the problem. The problem is that we still today, despite the value that advisors add, and it is arguably, but in my opinion, arguably, the most important conversation and service offering that Australians can have, that is someone to help them secure their financial future. The problem is that we still only penetrate arguably 10% of the Australian population. So we are still working on how do we propagate and articulate and tell the story of the value of the advice to the next cohort. It's the 10, 15, 20 that walk past the proverbial advice door and never come in because they're unsure. Number two, where I think that comes from is it's twofold. One is, as you just mentioned, the whole supply and demand equation is working in advisors' favor. Tick. And many say, I've got more business than I can deal with. That's not going to last forever. And once we get into the AI transforming advice business and technology, there are way more players coming into this. They're sitting just over the horizon. We get tapped on the door to assess those things and give advice and help them out more often than not over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. That will get cracked at some point, and that is then going to put pressure on the full advice model engines. So we're here to say, when you want to get good at something, you have to start. And now is the best time to start to figure out how to get good in this area. Two things are holding advisors back in this. Broadly, advisors sit in two cohorts. And please, this is a generalization. Cohort one, the advisors that started the advice business, late 1990s, early 2000s, they've now moved into the CEO roles or successioned out or transitioning out, or they're pulling back. They learned how to sell. They had to. If they didn't sell, they were not feeding their families. Cohort number two of advisors that have come into the system in the last 10 or 15 years have bought into books or have been gifted books as part of a succession. They haven't had to sell. It's not that they can't, they just have not had to do that. And therefore there hasn't been the training and the education around that. But that is fundamentally changing. 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, could not give away our sales and marketing product. Today, we can't keep up with the demand. Businesses are realizing that they need to build a lead generation system, a marketing and profile system, a working with partners system, which we used to call referral partnerships. That's a whole different conversation. How do I articulate the value of the advice in client language? All of these elements that now need to come back in. And it's like anything. I'm pretty good at playing tennis, but I got a terrible forehand. And if I'm not going to practice it, it's going to stay terrible. And so sales does scare people. And we're quite anti the word sales post-Royal Commission. But I'm here to say we cannot get more advice to more Australians without us as an industry learning how to sell and articulate the value and the difference that we make to human beings without it.
Excellent. fun. And one thing that really resonated with some of our clients in 2025 was when they discovered through our work that selling their business, the buyer is going to look at it and they're looking at the confidence in the earnings growth into the future. And if the earnings growth is predominantly linked to individual client referrals based on the charisma of that individual financial planner who won't be in the system post the transaction, if it's a few years after, they've got uncertainty around that future earnings flow. When there's a system with sales and marketing that is driving new client prospects and new client acquisition that's embedded within the business and the system, that's going to continue. People will come and go, but it will continue. Therefore, a higher confidence that the earnings growth will continue and businesses will pay a premium for that. There's a commercial lens to having a sales and marketing, brand profile, attraction, digital strategy to build your brand profile and activate it, than just sitting back and saying client referrals to an individual who's not going to be around in the future. So really sustainable businesses and commercially, people are saying we need to invest in this for the commercial reasons as well as the client reasons.
I'm going to jump in there, Brendan. I love what you said around the commercial aspect to that. And in fact, it hits all three. And sure, most things in business probably and arguably do. Commercial reality of having a repeatable, confident lead generation, conversion engine that generates new clients and sales. Okay, tick. Clients, right? And that can float your boat and that can be the only reason. Clients, purpose. I just want to get more advice to more Australians and do more good and have more impact. And most, if not all, the people in this industry have that. Great, it ticks both of those boxes. 2, culturally, people. It's fun to put out content and stories that resonate with your tribe, the people that will respond to who you are, what you believe, and how you want to deliver it. And to see them come knock on the door and say, hey, I read something or I watched something and I think you can help me. And then have the confidence that you've got the right, this is the steps that we're going to take you through. And here's the story that I'm going to tell you because it's been thought through. People can say it's packaged and it's rehearsed, and absolutely. A professional athlete practices. A professional advisor, professional consultant, a professional anything practices and rehearses in order to be better at what they're doing. And so commercial outcome, tick. Client impact, tick. Fun, big tick. The problem with advisors isn't that they're not good at what they're doing. They're exceptional at what they're doing. The majority of them are just unknown. That is an easy problem to fix that ticks all those 3 boxes.
Advice business owner listening to this or reading papers off the back of our conversation, how do they diagnose if their sales engine in their advice firm is rusted or rusting? And what's the first step they can take to unrust it?
Great question. But sit back, piece of paper, pen, and write down the word 5 things. Profile. Okay. What do people know about our brand and or our advisors? Ask some existing clients. What is it, the first thing that comes to mind when you think about our business name or about advisor? What are you doing in that area to propagate a profile? 2, partnerships. Do you have referral partners? Do you have business partners external to your business that you work with? And not just do they send you referrals? Do you collaborate on sharing newsletters into each other's client bases? What work do you do to support and engage with each other? How effective has that been? Most businesses will say, when we do a diagnostic, I've got 20 accountants. Great. How many joint engagements did you do over last year? Oh, none. Okay. How much marketing did you do into their client base and vice versa? None. What about referrals? Oh yeah, we got 2 or 3 referrals. Okay. How many appointments did you go to get into that? And all of a sudden you can just unravel that there's a lot of wheels spinning in that area. 3rd area, prospect. This is the lead gen. How confident are your advisors in generating leads? What percentage of new clients came through from referrals from existing, from advice partners, or directly through any of your marketing content? That goes into the 4th bucket, which is pitch. What is the conversion of new prospects or new contacts to actual clients? How long does that take? And how much did you have to discount the upfront fee to get that conversion? Are they profitable? And the 5th one is all about performance, sitting down with the advisors and having a genuine conversation. How do they feel about selling? When's the last time they did it? What works for them? What doesn't work for them? And here's the insight. When we go in there and have these conversations, 9 times out of 10, financial advisors will say, I am too busy looking after my existing book. It takes too long to get an SOA out and I've got to do too much admin. I get the proverbial, the too busy argument, which I know from my own experience looking in the mirror is just a really nice, convenient excuse, not always, to avoiding the hard conversation of stepping into this space. Those 5 areas, those few questions, you'll know.